Welcome to the Prepper Talk Radio podcast with Shane, Scott, and Paris. We're live. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's our normal Thursday night now, at least for the next few months. Here at 6 p.m. Mountain Time every Thursday. Join the live stream. The comments are always on fire, and we're excited to have you guys here tonight. How's it going, my brothers?
Oh, same as always.
Cruising along, just wondering which one of these events is going to kick it off.
Yeah. It's already kicked off. You guys don't even understand. Nobody understands. I've been following this and dropping new videos on I guess my TikTok only. I should probably post them everywhere else. My insights on what's going on. I'm like headlong into this apocalypse, and I am loving every minute of it. But yeah.
Well, I don't see any of them because I don't do the TikTok thing. So
yeah, you're not missing anything. It's TikTok's a waste of mind juice, but yeah, it's crazy. Like, we've been talking about New World Order the last few weeks. We've been talking about what's going on in silver and gold for months and months, years and years, but it's been on the edge of oblivion right now. Everything is hanging, appears to be hanging, and it's exciting. And I probably shouldn't be as excited as I am, but I am, because I know it's on the other side of this. And that's what I'm pumped about. The next few years, they're going to suck for a little bit, for a lot of people. And it's going to get worse, but it's also going to get better. But so now's the time to not panic. Now's the time to slow down a little bit, focus on what you're doing, and think before you jump in on something new. Especially avoid the gimmicks and prep. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, you got to buy this 40 different type of tool that's not good at really any of the tool.
Well, when you get in a hurry, right? When you get in a hurry because you're seeing everything that's going on and you realize I need stuff, right? I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. You get in a hurry and you tend to, and of course I'm generalizing, maybe overgeneralizing, tend to not make as solid of decisions. And that's pretty standard, especially when maybe you're a newbie, not necessarily for our standard dozen we have or so every week that really know what they're doing. But in particular, like you say, gimmicky stuff. And, I want to talk about more than that, but yeah, we start wherever you guys think we want to start.
I just know a lot of times people like you said, they get in a panic and they just buy whatever they see on the ad that comes across their page. Like, I remember, funny thing is, I was like, you know what, I saw this, like, it was this rod that like extends, and I was like, it was not breakable. It would act like a bludgeoning weapon. Plus, it was like a walking stick. Plus, it was like all these other things. I was like,
yeah,
what the heck? I'll try it. See if it is actually. And I still haven't got it yet. I think I ordered it like 6 months ago, and I don't even know if it's coming. I don't think it's going to be coming. So it's just like.
And if you're getting it to try it out, okay, that's one thing, right? I totally get that, right? And that's something I see all the time come across the feed, something that just inundates your feed, that you see it all the time. It's always one of the videos on YouTube that cuts us off, if we were monetized, right? But constantly the same thing over and over again. I think that's probably your first sign that it's probably not something you want to add to your kit, unless it is for testing and to really understand what we're talking about, right? Because I have learned to live by the saying that when you're in a hurry, slow down. And that's so true for me. So incredibly true. I'll give you a quick example. This morning, had to put up a new microwave right above the range top, right? It just 6 years old, Samsung, it just stops working.
Of course.
That's a whole nother conversation, right? So putting up a new microwave. Before I get started at work, I get in a little bit of a hurry because it just never works out exactly the way you expect. And I went to put away my tools and I'm kind of rushing. And I have a case with all kinds of screws in it. And of course, I always refer to that. I would use it all the time. and I did not put the lid down, and I emptied every single screw out of that thing onto the floor. And because I'm in a hurry, and I just smiled,
Oh, dang.
still laying there on the floor, but because I was in a hurry. And what did I do? I just created more of a mess for myself, right? More time that I've got to go through and organize all these screws individually in their own little bins. So that's what I mean by
so basically you screwed yourself.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Well, that's unfortunate. So speaking of unscrewing yourself, as we hop off the edge into oblivion, one of the things you need to be prepared with is your emergency antibiotics. And if you check out Ozio, I got mine here, ozio.com, you can use the code PrepperTalk, and that'll save you 10%. We used to do Jace. Now we're doing Ozio because they give you a bigger discount. And guess what? It's the same company. For those that aren't aware, it's their sister company. It's all comes from the same place, all the same pharmacy. It's fantastic, but we get you a better deal. That's why we switched. And instead of 6 antibiotics, now it's 10. So yeah, don't get screwed by getting the wrong stuff. Get the good stuff. And dude, those yeah, projects can always throw you for a loop. I'm in the midst of painting and fixing doors down in the basement now, and it's funny because it's like, oh, I think I'm done, and then I can't find my hinges. And I'm like, I bought enough hinges for all the doors, but I can't find them all, and it's because kids thought they were toys and they started playing with them and they went somewhere else in the house. So like the screws that are all over your kitchen floor, I'm looking for hinges. But yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to go sideways with everything that you're busy doing. So you got to definitely slow down and plan it out. Take a deep breath and don't get sucked into the marketing that's going on, but also the media rhetoric. Like, just like Shane was saying, if you're seeing a marketing ad for something over and over and over again, Paris was saying it too, it's the same with the news. If it's over and over and over and it's always on the cycle, like, and that's the only story you seem to see everywhere, it's because it's to distract you, right? It's to get you off your plan.
Yeah, I call it noise, right? Mm-hmm. It's really all it is. It's noise. It's distraction. It is again, like you say, marketing. It's about money. If it's about money, and if it's about money, most likely it's not about you, right? It's not about something that's really going to be good for you. It's about someone promoting something further, their own gimmick, their own benefit, right? And if something's for someone else's benefit, most likely it's not going to benefit you or me, right? So, we can talk about quality. We can talk about all different types of products. If we're going to talk about products, but I've got a lot of other comments as well about noise, about slowing down, about being very contemplating, about being in the moment, being present, right? That's one thing I've really been focusing on lately is just getting rid of that noise, because that's getting worse and worse as I see it.
I think another thing too, as part of, just to kind of, let's end on the marketing side of things real fast here with this last comment, if you want. Yeah. If you see a lot of ads, it means that they have a lot of money to pump into advertisements, which means that the profit margins for them are huge. So just do your research. If you see, like, for example, I don't mind, some of these companies that have done good. I actually bought some of their stuff. But at some level, you're like, wait a minute, am I getting the quality that I should be getting? If they have if their profit margins are so much higher so they can pump these ads out, am I really getting the quality that I need? And number one. Number two, sometimes you take advantage of their ad marketing and you just go do your own research and you find something for less expensive or higher quality. And you can, it's good to know what's out there and what's available. And that's what marketing does. Cause sometimes you're like, oh shoot, what did I order? Like, if sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And marketing and advertising helps us say, hey, wait a minute, maybe I do need that. It's kind of like Costco. The minute you walk into Costco, you've got 1,000 things you didn't know you needed, right there in front of you. And that's kind of what marketing allows you to do. So that's why sometimes I'll just go window shopping from time to time to say, hey, is there anything out there that I don't know about that I just could probably get good with? And then I just put it on my wish list and I save up for it.
I love what Utah Mike said. Let me pop this up on the screen. Start prepping needs, not wants, right? The more someone tells you have to have this, and the more the marketing budget pushes it in front of you. And this is funny because my wife and I were talking about this just last week or the week before. She's like, oh, they're listening again. And I'm like, what? She's like, they're listening again. We were talking about this bottle washer because we got baby dude next week. We're talking about this bottle washer and disinfectant machine. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But we talked about it. And then all of a sudden on her phone, every time she's on social media, all she sees now are ads for that very thing from there's 6 different companies that make one. But she's like, wow, they're listening again. I'm like, yeah, we need to focus. What do I need? Prioritize it, put it down on the list. Okay, prioritize it. You can use the emergency rule of 3 and okay, shelter. Okay, do I have my shelter taken care of? Yeah, no, yeah, right. Okay, shelter's taken care of. Let's talk water. Okay, water's taken care of. Now we can start talking about food, first aid, protection, get the things you need. And it's that prioritization, I think, that has given me the most peace in all of my preparedness. Pausing and thinking about, okay, what do I actually really need, or where are my holes in my preps? And I'll tell you, most of the time it's not things, it's knowledge and skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your biggest holes. Your biggest weaknesses are your health and what you actually can do, what you know how to do.
Yeah, and I think an important part of making a decision that way, like you say, Paris, sometimes you just want to try things out.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense. I do that all the time. But I think, also clutter is a big deal for me. Being a little more minimalistic is a big deal. But also being efficient, is important to me. Lost my train of thought there. Actually was going for, if you see stuff clutter around you, you think, okay, that was at one time, that was money, that was currency, that was dollars, but now it's sitting in a corner of the room that you never use it. So maybe that's a way to go ahead and plan your spending is to think, okay, whatever clutter I have around me, or that you've already experienced, you have a room with clutter in it. That was once money. That was once dollars, currency that I could have done this or that with. And so take a minute to contemplate and think, like you say, Scott, do I really need this? And that can maybe be a little hard because of marketing, because of propaganda, that certain things, tell us that, oh, you need this. Well, have you been able to survive without it so far? And you probably don't need it.
I think that's a good question that Becky brings up. For a newbie, how do you distinguish between needs and wants? And when you're starting out and just learning, and I think obviously one of the biggest resources we have already on our website is just the different lists that we have for 72-hour kits and other things like that. And honestly, the needs are shelter, food, water, and then a grab and go bag are kind of just the bare minimum needs. And so when you're distinguishing your needs, it basically could be different for every family because every family has a different diet. What are your foods that you're actually eating? What are the foods that your kids will actually eat? Those are needs that you stick to those things first. I just talk over and over again. I continue to hear, I don't know how to start. I see these ads for the food storage and they're like thousands of dollars. I see all these things and I'm like, you know what? It's just literally as simple as buying an extra can of what you already, or a box or a package of what you already eat. every time you go to the grocery store. Just buy a little bit of extra dinner, one more box of, I don't know, if you eat macaroni and cheese, buy another box of macaroni and cheese and just put it in a storage place. If you buy, peanut butter and jelly, buy an extra thing of peanut butter, just store it away. Honey is better than jam, because honey will store for a lot longer. A lot of the processed honeys today, though, may have a little bit of a shorter shelf life than natural honeys.
Well, and
But
it's not real too. That's the other problem.
yeah, get as real honey as you can. And
yeah, go find a local honeybee guy and get your bee local, or your honey local, so it lasts. But you're absolutely right. That's going to last a lot longer than your peanut butter, even, and your jams and jellies, even though they might be delicious.
Well, I talk about slowing down. I want to make sure to emphasize that we should all be anxiously engaged, and maybe even in a hurry. There's no time to delay to get prepared, right? We don't want to say slow down. Yes, slow down, but that doesn't mean to stop. That doesn't mean to even put a pause on your preps. It just means to be a little more contemplative about your choice decision. And I think that is a fantastic question, Becky. That how does a new prepper distinguish between wants and needs? That is probably an entire show altogether, and where I think we need to provide some examples of what I've learned, right? Of things that I've purchased. But like Scott says, mostly it's going to be skills. We talk about one of the things on my list that I have as an absolute gimmick, and I know Scott will agree with me, 72-hour kits. And we call it a bug out bag. And especially and particularly the pre-made ones, right? The kits that you buy online, they are absolute gimmicks. You can survive 72 hours on just shelter and water. You don't need the other, the junk that's in there. Most of the time it is junk. And that's other things I have on my list as well, without getting too far ahead of myself. But those are absolute gimmicks. You see these cheap kits that are one-time use, and they're horrible. They're terrible.
Well,
and
they give you
take more detail to get into it, though.
They give you like garbage bag tube tents and
and crappy multi-tools, which are garbage.
Yeah, like team quality
multi-tool flashlight that has knives coming out the back, and just really cheap stuff. And so those are absolute gimmicks. My recommendation is to build one yourself. And it's not just a go bag, it's an EDC. It's what you carry with you every day. And I think that's where a beginner should start, is just start carrying a pocket knife, start carrying a light, put stuff in your car, right? Like water bottles and some extra food, a blanket, and you're going to be covered for 72 hours pretty easily. Of course, depending on the weather of the season. And so, in your vehicle will most likely, or your home, will be your 72-hour kit, your shelter. So that's the place to start. Is you have to see it for yourself. I don't think I could tell anybody really where to start. Everyone has to see it for themselves, just like the Matrix, right? You can't be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. That movie has so many good parallels in it that apply, today. But you've got to start somewhere, and I think the EDC is the place to start. Of course, like Scott said, shelter, water, food. We always take the survival threes into account, and start from there. But you have to do it, on your own, and you're going to get caught with some gimmicks. You're gonna buy that baton flashlight, or you're going to buy that plier, hammer, knife, multi-tool that is absolutely useless. And as long as you're not spending it a lot, and you buy it, you try it, and you realize this is garbage, then that's something very valuable you've learned that will hopefully help you to save some money in the future.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember I was doing, not consulting, but I keep getting sucked into being the ward emergency preparedness guy for our local congregation, and now I'm part of it for the city of Bountiful. And it's funny because people will come up to me and they'll be like, yeah, I saw this 72-hour kit. And I'm like, throw it away. They're like, what? I'm like, throw the ad away. Don't buy it. I'm like, do you have empty backpacks sitting around your house? They're like, yeah. I'm like, start there. Well, but this has everything. It says everything I need. I'm like, says who? And it's funny because for years I've been showing people get a 96-hour kit, build it yourself, put the essentials that you need. The most important things to me are going to be slightly different than the most important things to you, right? If you've got medical needs, you got to focus on your medical needs first, right? If you've got prescriptions that you can't live without, you've got to focus on that stuff first, right? But then going through and actually planning what you're going to need and what you're going to want. And it's funny because I'd been teaching this for years. And then in PrepperCon 2015 or 14, I don't know. It was either the first or second one. A guy came and did a class called Your 72-Hour Bag is Going to Kill You. And I just started laughing because his whole course was don't buy
That's
anything
awesome.
off the shelves. And I know Paris hated me because I bagged on him a little bit when he did this, but then I also want to give him accolades because he got a lot of stuff that he didn't have, that he wasn't prepared for. And it will take you further down the line. And he bought good stuff. But just buying generic stuff off the shelf can be a total distraction and a waste of money. And especially it's part of the reason is because people will not actually look at what they have. They'll buy the bag, set the bag in the closet, and never think about it again because they think it's all there. Did they fill the canteen with water? Did they check to see if the knife's sharp? Right? Did they see if any of the stuff they have is worthwhile? Or is the food expired by the time they actually need it? Right? I check my kits every 6 months in the spring and in the fall. In the fall, I rotate out my spring and summer clothes. I put in my winter clothes. I add in my winter additional wardrobe requirements, right? Because it's going to be a lot colder and a lot wetter where I live. But like if you live in Florida, it's going to be a little different story. But yeah, it's the same with the rest of your preps. It's like it's not going to be as effective to take some internet guru's advice because they've prepped longer than you, right? Like me, I can't tell you exactly what to do. I can talk to you, I can look at your stuff, but I can give you my recommendations, but my recommendations are based on what I've seen for the most part, what I've experienced, the different disasters I've been through. You've got to look at your area and your prioritizations and the things that you need to be aware of and plan for those things. Take a minute, sit down, put it pen to paper, relax, take a few deep breaths, right? Take your time.
Yeah, and I think kind of. Oh, sorry, Paris. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that a lot of people, I've been to a lot of different, I've talked with a lot of people over the years, as like all the three of us have. And another thing that really comes up a lot, and this is actually a good product. It's something good to have, and I would recommend having it at some point. However, I think a lot of people get super excited about getting it way before they should. And that is a freeze dryer. And I highly recommend when you can afford a freeze dryer, or if your family wants to go in on a freeze dryer, that's fine. But when I talk to people, they're like, they ask me, should I get a freeze dryer? I said, okay, you can. And I recommend getting one at some point in your career. But let me just ask you a couple questions first. Do you have a 90-day pantry? Usually the answer is no. Do you have a couple 100 gallons of water saved up somewhere? Usually the answer is no. Do you have a good a kit of some kind that you made yourself, or you've audited or had somebody audit that the good quality stuff, and you're sitting
Yeah.
next to 96? No. Usually the answer is no. I said, then don't buy a freeze dryer yet. You got a lot of things to buy first and get first before you do that. Like even with gold and silver, like right now, most people say, should I buy gold and silver? Well, do you have a strong savings account? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have your budget? Are you spending less than you're making? Are you, you know what I mean? Like, are you investing in multiple asset classes? Like, don't get super excited about the one thing and forget all of the foundational things. Like, I have so many people in financial stuff come to me. There's how should I invest? Well, are you in debt? Yes. Do you have a strong saving strategy? No. Do you have like, don't tell me what stock to buy. Don't ask me what stock to buy. If you don't even have, if you have 10, 5 credit cards that are maxed out, like that's going to serve you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying also part of this whole process is don't get wrapped up in the gimmicks that are out there that are just really poor quality and just crappy stuff, but also don't get caught up in getting things before your time to get them. And then you find out that, okay, great. I spent $5,000 to buy a freeze dryer. And then the next week there's an earthquake and your ceiling crushes it and you have no food to live through the disaster. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah. It's
like, I know Shane and Scott, you guys don't have a freeze dryer. You have Shane, I think Scott, you had access to one, right?
Yeah, my neighbor's got one, but I know, yeah, Scott, your family, you've got one.
Yeah, my parents have one. My in-laws and I have one that we share, but we pretty much just drop everything off at my brother-in-law's house. But here's the thing. We didn't pay for it. We got it for free. Well, I can't say free. We got an exchange because that's one of the things I like to do is I like to get paid to prep. Like I'll do product reviews. I'll do like I did PrepperCon. We'd get stuff in trade all the time when we did PrepperCon. Like Harvest Right's like, hey, can we get a booth? And we're like, sure. It's this much. And they're like, would you give us a discount if we gave you a freeze dryer? And we're like, yeah, we could make that work. But like we made him be a sponsor to make that work. Like, yeah, but you got to be a sponsor if you want to do that. And we're going to need another $1,000. They're like, okay, we'll do this and we'll give you a freeze dryer and some like stacked in a whole bunch of things, but they got him a sponsorship, right? We had to make it worth our while, right? And that's the thing is like, and you guys, like everyone listening, you can do that too. Like if you have any type of following, or if you have your church or a community group that you're working with, like you can contact vendors that have different products and be like, hey, I'd love to showcase this to my group. Could you give us a discount on it or send me one for free and I'll do review videos, right? It never hurts to ask.
Yeah. I have a buddy who has we've actually had him on the show quite some time ago. We were talking about preparedness and fitness. Eric Moutsos, he actually got a free freeze dryer because he reached out to, I can't remember what company it was, but he reached out and said, hey, look, if I can get, 10 people to buy one of these, what can you give me as commission? And they're like, well, we could pay you cash or we can pay you in product. And he's like, sweet. So he went out and got like 10 or 15 people to buy one and they paid him with a freeze dryer of his own. So don't think there's not creative ways to be able to do fun things like that and get stuff that you might need. And so you don't have to be, Prepper Talk Radio host to get free stuff for prepping. You can actually be, somebody that can reach out to somebody and you may not get it for free or you may not get it, but you could get it for a discount. I mean, how awesome would that be to maybe even get it at wholesale instead, because you provided enough value to be able to do that. So and that's not just freeze dryers. That's anything in life.
Yeah, anything. And
yeah, full disclosure, I haven't gotten anything free since the PrepperCon days. So
really,
we don't get many perks, if any perks around here. But I think also along those lines, obviously, the freeze dryer is one of the more expensive preps. But so my next two numbers on my list are cheap preps, cheap gear, and expensive gear. Avoid the cheap gear, avoid the expensive gear. I'm not saying don't go with quality products. You can get inexpensive gear, but you don't need to spend 20% more than you have to. I believe in the 80-20 rule. You can still get 80% of what you need by spending 20% less than the name brand where you're spending a premium on the product. There's plenty of examples I could give there too, but let me know if you have any questions. But just to give you a quick idea, for example, there's a lot of very expensive knives you can get, and at some point they become more collector's items or premium quality materials that are over and above what you actually would need, like a good 1095 steel knife or D2 knife, D2 steel, which are very quality, more than capable of doing pretty much everything you need for a very reasonable price, but far better than the cheaper steels. So, but they continue to come out with more and more fancy steels to charge you more and more for new knives, which are entirely unnecessary.
So here's a case in point, Shane.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
this is a Spyderco. I think this is the I can't remember can't read it. Where's my glasses?
We're showing our age.
I'm old enough now. I can't even read the daggum glass. The thing.
All three of us got to put our glasses on.
So this one is the Tenacious Spyderco Tenacious.
See, I know.
It's their, anyways, model. Tenacious is their model. This knife probably goes for, I don't know if I should be showing it on the screen here on YouTube, but this, I'll keep it closed so they don't know exactly what it is. This knife probably goes for $70, 80 bucks, 60 to 80 bucks, somewhere in there. I got it on a liquidation because the guy who was his, and sadly, because, you know, prepper stores and shops and things like that some of them are going out of business, and we really need to support local if we can. But this guy, he said, "Hey, I got to liquidate because my shop's going. I'm not able to keep my shop going. I got to liquidate." So I think I got this for like 25 bucks, 20 or 25 bucks. It's a $60 or $70 knife usually at retail, and I got it for like 20, 25, something like that. And I just paid him cash and walked out. He's like, "Thank you." I'd rather have the 20 bucks than the knife at this point. So, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the sweet spot. You know, I don't think you should spend any less than that on a quality pocket knife. And to give you the other extreme, you know, I carry this around because I think it's cool. It's a Microtech. You know, it's about a $300 knife. I don't need it. I just think it's cool. You know, it's just a very cool knife, but not necessary. And I've basically come to the realization that I don't need a lot of knives. Yeah, I like to collect them, but do I need them? No. And that, you know, that took some time for me to realize, yeah, I need this style. I need a Scandinavian grind on my, or I need a puka, or I need, you know, these different types of bushcraft knives for different tasks. No, that's not true at all. There are a lot of really good multi-purpose knives that will do everything you need, or maybe a couple of different knives, right? A fillet knife, a bushcrafting knife, a pocket knife. You can get away with, I mean, tools are obviously very important, and having quality tools, but you know, both ends of the spectrum, stay away from the cheap stuff because you'll regret it. And the buy once, cry once is much more true when it comes to prepper gear. However, if you spend that extra 20% for a name brand, you're probably going to regret it and could have saved that and put it towards something else. However, it is awfully nice to have good quality stuff. And if you can, great. But don't feel like you have to.
Schrade is a really good quality for a low price.
Yeah.
Schrade, SCHRADE. They got great quality. I mean, they're not going to be a $300 quality, but they're going to be good enough for 90% of us. We're not professional wilderness survivalists or, you know, rescue team, you know, folks, but, you know, to survive in the woods and keep something sharp, shoot, they're plenty good enough, and their pricing is excellent. Last I checked, I bought several of them. You know, it's like the old thing, Shane, you know this as well as I do. Girls are like, how many shoes does a girl need? Well, she could probably answer quite easily all of them. And so, you know, for us guys, it's, you know, there's a lot of things out there that the different people like, but, you know, when I'm asked how many knives should I have, I'm pretty much in the same opinion, all of them.
So I am a cheap knife connoisseur.
Nice.
Like, I get made fun of because I carry Kershaw. And I carry Kershaw because it's good steel, it's comfortable, and it's a very durable, affordable knife.
You can have 4 or 5 of those for the same price as the one I'm carrying.
Yeah. And
so you can beat the crap out of it and
what's great about that is I've had to hand over probably 4 or 5 of my Kershaws to fake police at the airport because a knucklehead like myself, I carry them all the time. I always forget when I go traveling. I'm like, oh, I should have put that in my checked luggage. And I get in the line and I'm like, I got a knife on me. I'm like, my last 2 trips I've taken, I've been good. But I don't go flying very often. So when I do, I'm like, la-di-da, goodbye knife. And then I have to go buy another one when I get where I'm going. But like, I love them. But also, who knows what this is?
You know, I know what it is.
Yeah, more cough. Right?
More knife.
More cough.
More knife.
More knife.
Oh, sorry.
This is the like
What
one of my
knife?
absolute favorite budget knives in the world. They hold their edge fantastically. This is the one I keep with my camp gear, and it's when I go camping, I like to have a fixed blade, right? Because I'm doing a little more damage to a knife when I'm camping than when I'm just around town, right? But I also have one of these in my car too. So, and they have tons of different types of blades and things, but like
Those aren't
you
that
don't have
expensive.
to go, especially if you're someone who doesn't use these things all the time. You don't have to go, oh, I got to spend $500 on this knife, right? Or $300. Like this is like a $14 knife right now on Amazon. And they're fantastic. And you could go on, there's like fanatic groups who are like, they have to get one of every More knife out there, right? And More knife does have some like $300-$400 knives. Don't get me wrong, but to get into the game, they make it very affordable, and that's why I like to recommend them. Plus, they have this really cool little latch thing on the front. Have you guys seen those before?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is?
You can attach more knives to it.
Yeah, you can actually attach all your knives to each other and just have like 8 knives hanging off your waistband. It's kind of ridiculous, but it works really good. Like electricians in Europe will carry 2 to 3 more knives for 2 to 3 different types of things, as well as plumbers that I've talked to, because they're such good knives. And they're like, if I break one, it's going to cost me, 15 euros to go get a new one. But I've got to have different types of things for the things I do. And I just know, hey, this knife goes in this sequential order on my waist.
That's awesome.
But it's fun. But like, if you don't use something a ton, be frugal going into it, read the reviews, check it out, jump in our group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance, over on Facebook, and ask questions. Hey, does anybody use this? Has anyone found any pros and cons about this? Right? Get feedback from the people that you're around, and don't just jump into a purchase just so you can feel like, hey, I checked that off the list, because I've done that and I've made quite a few mistakes that way.
Yeah, I'd love to have like Becky's, had commented here. Let's see if it shows up yet. It's not showing up here yet. But I know, a lot of people just don't, especially new preppers, just don't really understand what quality is. And that really comes down to, like you were talking, Scott, it's about skills. And that's, I think, really where we need to, kind of, not that I want to finish the conversation, but where the conversation should end is on skills. Is yes, we need stuff like you're saying with 72-hour kits. You can get along with a pocket knife, a flashlight, and a blanket, and and some water. It comes down to skills. You can MacGyver anything, and that only comes with experience. So for new people who are new to the game, you kind of have to make some mistakes, and but spend your time. Like you say, slow down. Don't be so in a rush that you just buy garbage, and also don't spend too much as well. So it takes some time, but be diligent about it and move forward on it. And I also wanted to add to the list of gimmicks that aren't not for most people. And I am generalizing is tactical gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us as guys, we tend to like the tactical, right? I'm not former military. I'm not an operator. Never was, never will be. Don't really care to be. You guys know I like guns. I like that world. However, I am not attracted to the tactical side of it, of wearing the tactical gear and looking like a wannabe. And a lot of the times, those types of tactical products are gimmicks, and you get low quality. To get high quality tactical stuff, you're going to spend a lot of freaking money, because they are critical use equipment, clothes, whatever it might be. And so to get the good quality stuff, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. Whereas if you see something on Amazon that says, hey, that's a nice tactical shirt, but hey, it's only $50 instead of $150. I'm going to try that. And then most likely it's probably garbage. Yeah. So I would just say altogether, stay out of the tactical world unless you have a specific use, a specific need. Like, I'm going to go hunting wild boars at night. I need an optic of some kind. And then do your research and figure out, okay, what is going to work for this particular use? Do I need, $10,000 military grade optics? No, no, you don't. It's going to break your budget most likely anyway. If you can afford it, fantastic, right? I have not gotten to the point where I feel I need any kind of night vision or anything like that for my world where I live here in the suburban area or out in my rural place. I have yet to delve into that. I just have not seen the need or to go to that expense. Now, I did buy some body armor years ago because it was a killer deal, but man, it's the heavy stuff, and I'm just not going to wear it. Fortunately, it was fairly inexpensive, but in general, unless you are former military, you've got that kind of experience, tactical doesn't typically apply to most of us. And honestly, I feel it makes me look like an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because I got free body armor and I got paid body armor, and I was going to bring this point up too. Every piece of tactical stuff I've kind of rotated out of my preps. I want to look as nondescript as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my backpacks look like school bags or backpacking backpacks because I want to be comfortable. If I'm having to hike off, it's got to have a hip strap, right? I've got to have a waist strap with cushion on it because it's just uncomfortable otherwise.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't allow you, like Becky mentioned here, it doesn't allow you to be the gray man. You're going to stand out. If you're wearing camo and you're walking through town, you're going to stand out. If you're wearing camo out in the country, everybody wears, camo out in the rural areas, especially during hunting season. So definitely take that in consideration. That's big on my list, is just avoiding tactical. And I'm in the handgun. I'm a certified handgun instructor, and it seems like the entire team, everybody wants to deck themselves out in all the gear, right? And all the camo and just fit in with everybody else. And it just doesn't ring true with me.
What's funny is I wear 511 tactical pants like all the time because they're the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. And I hate it because they don't go with anything.
And they're freaking expensive.
And they're expensive. But the pair that I'm wearing right now, I've had for 5 years. So it's like, they're good pants. I get my money out of them. They last longer than my jeans, but my jeans don't have side pockets. I love side pockets, but I don't want to wear cargo shorts or regular cargo pants because they're too big and bulky. It's like the big thing for me is simplify. I love what you say, Shane. Always go heavy. Like, just always have extra gear in your car. The stuff that makes the most sense to have, right? Yeah. Can you fit a little plug-in compressor to help fix your tires and a patch kit? Yeah. You got room for them? Put them in there, right? Can you fit extra water? Yeah, put it in there. Can you fit some wool blankets? Yeah, put them in there, right? A really good trauma kit, not first aid kit, because a lot of people think first aid kit and they go get a Band-Aid pack. I'm talking trauma kits, tourniquets, clotting factors, like all the stuff, a real trauma kit. And you can get those on our website. Go over to preppertalkradio.com, check out our friends over at Mountain Medical. But they've got a special deal for all of our listeners. But get real good trauma kits. But again, you can get away with less of a trauma kit if you know more medical skills, more first aid skills, right? If you know how to make a tourniquet, if you know, if you've gone through the training, if you know your CPR as a basic, right? That's a good launch pad. But the further we go into this, the more I really want to delve back into what is the knowledge, what is it you know? Because the more you know, the less you have to carry. It's like, it's not Tyler White that told us that. It's your buddy, Shane.
Dan.
Yeah.
And he's definitely on the survivalist side, right? And that's another thing on my list. You're dragging me off another direction about survivalists, right? And I'm sure some of you on here might disagree with me, but I think that's, and again, I'm generalizing. I think that's a bit of a gimmick too. I think all of us have families to take care of and prepare for. And yes, you got to learn skills of bushcrafting and learning how to make a fire and those types of things. But I think this prepping world takes that a little too far for most people. Again, generalizing, going to get myself in trouble here with a lot of people. That that kind of only works when you're alone by yourself. If you're trying to survive in the bush by yourself, that's extremely hard. And I can understand why my buddy Dan and like Tyler love to be out there doing that and learning that. But to be able to take care of my family in that type of environment, just not going to happen.
I think that
I
utilizing
think it's a smaller
skills-
window of you could learn those skills, but the chance of actually using them, especially if you're a regular family man, is going to be very low. So I would say start with all the things that are going to be most common
Mhm.
in what you're trying to do. Like you're talking about, Shane, like what are the most common things? Organizational skills, maybe some gardening skills, and maybe some bow staff skills, just things like that.
Contact skills, Napoleon.
Some nunchuck skills. I had to throw that in there. A la Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, what is more realistic? For example, even prepping itself, what's more realistic? Are we going to have a zombie attack our house, or are you going to lose your job and you're going to need to have some food storage? Like, what's more realistic? What's more? I mean, now, well, with more and more fentanyl coming across the border, the zombies are getting more and more popular. But the reality is that we're going to have a job loss is probably more common. Second is going to be some kind of natural disaster. And then third is going to be, or maybe even further down the line is going to be some, Mad Max scenario where you're going to need to survive and there might come a time when, unfortunately, maybe your family does fall to ill and they pass away and you are left alone. Well, you're still going to want to jump into a group potentially or part of a community to survive. And so that whole idea of the lone wolf survivalist, it really is more of a sexy kind of a not realistic, fanciful life than it is actually more than realistic, in my opinion.
Yes. So yeah, the Mad Max, the road type scenarios where you're always moving, you're always scrounging, you're always trying to survive going from place to place.
Book of Eli kind of stuff.
I just see that as being probably the hardest possible way to live, right? You got to have your location. You got to have your stocked up. You got to be ready before you need to be ready.
And taking and leaving your place exposes you, right? Leaving your place exposes you. Like, I've got fruit trees here. I've got garden area, like all the stuff that I use, and my neighbors that I'm really tight with. We're each other's security network, right? You leave this, you're more exposed. It's more dangerous, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going. So, like, yeah, absolutely. Slow down. Think about what you're doing, what your plans are before you go do it. But I don't want to go too far forward on this because I want to make sure we cover some of the other stuff that Shane's got on his list, because I know I keep derailing him.
Well, I think we're still on that right track. Another thing on my list is, we're talking about the survivalists, and there's a place for that, right? There may be a day when those skills come in handy. So I shouldn't eliminate it entirely, but another thing on my list is that there are no hacks. There's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's always been popular for the shorts, right? Hack this and shortcut that, and work smarter, not harder. That I don't agree with any of that. And yeah, there may be this little tip or trick here and there, but there's no tip or trick to survival. It's about experience and having the right gear. I mean, that's important too. We want to say that it's not, but it kind of is. But I think that's a big thing is, people think they can shortcut it and wait until the last minute and then, I can use these survival hacks. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I think a good something that's on the positive side is, you got to be careful with some of the books that are out there and what they're teaching. And hey, this book right here was written by this ex-CIA. First of all, don't trust anything by ex-CIA anybody. Sorry, but in my opinion, anybody that was once a member of the CIA, it's like, okay, okay. But military potentially, just find some good books out there and have a nice collection of a nice library, because whether it's electronic library or whether it's another thing that's a kind of a gimmick that I just saw recently, by the way. And it's not necessarily a gimmick, but it's kind of I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you why I think it's a gimmick, and I'll tell you what you should do to not make it a gimmick. There was an ad that I saw on my Instagram, and it was for a survival hard drive. And I was like, a survival hard drive? Like, it was all like decked out, had all the whatever. I'm like, look, just go buy a freaking SD card, or just go buy a gigabyte, like for $10. Like, you don't need to buy this guy's survival SD card or whatever. And so just remember that, hey, look, that's actually, you might watch the ad and say, that's actually a good idea. I should probably have a little storage unit, a USB, something or other that I could plug in and go. Well, you don't need to spend $100 on his, fancy storage drive. You can go on Amazon and buy a, 2-3 terabyte one for $80. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just watch for those kind of gimmicks too.
Or thumb drive. Yeah.
Thumb drive. It's funny because you said CIA cannot be trusted, and earlier you're doing Napoleon Dynamite quotes. I've got a Princess Bride quote that I think is very good. Do you guys remember who Fezzik is, right? Andre the Giant's character. He said, people in masks cannot be trusted, right? CIA, they're teaching you to put on masks, right? So don't trust them. Also goes back to the COVID thing. People in masks cannot be trusted. You just,
people
got to
promoting
take more time to be more thoughtful about everything you're doing. And shortcuts do cut quality every time. Yeah,
they're temporary. They're Band-Aids, if anything. Another thing on my list, as we're getting closer to the end of our time here, is subscription boxes, like BattleBox, for example. And there are many others. That's just the one I remember off the top of my head. Nothing against BattleBox.
Those guys, I know I shouldn't, but
and, if you got $150 a month for a subscription box, just to throw that money away, go ahead. But you're going to get so much stuff you don't need. It's going to be clutter. And they probably give you good stuff. But
it's really good quality.
And you never know what you're going to get and whether you need it or not.
But the point you made that there's a ton of redundancy. It's like, I got another knife this month. I got a knife last month. Oh, I got another saw this month. I got a saw 2 months ago. I got okay, let's go back and look at what am I wasting my money and time on? Right? If you want a subscription anything, get like a discount subscription to nutritional supplements like what we have on our website. Right? That's one that makes sense because then you buy what you want when you want. But like a subscription survival gear, no thank you.
Yeah, totally unnecessary. And just spend the time. And that's kind of where I was getting to is, sometimes we get paralyzed by analysis, right? The analysis of paralysis of analysis, right? And I get it. I've been there many times. But for me, it's been a learning experience because this is what I do, right? And so whatever you can do to get around that and away from that. And I think part of that is, again, we started out talking about noise. What is the noise? What is cluttering your head? What is constantly in your face bugging you? Those are the things that we need to unplug and get rid of. And I've been noticing that more and more is just repetition. And to me, that's noise. And content for the sake of making content does not make sense to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why you don't see me on here doing my own little videos. Here, I'm going to tell you all about this and that and this and that. There's a million other people doing that, and it would be repetitive in my mind just for me to make content to get views, right? And so I see that so much between the different prepping channels, people making content for content's sake. And to me, that's noise. It's I think important to find some good quality channels, and there are some really good ones out there. I'm not saying that we're one of those, but and people who you've determined have a really fit what you're doing, right? They match the way you're in line exactly for what your plans are, and you've learned to trust their opinion. That has a lot of value, and I think there's very, very few out there who I will consistently return back to. And maybe that's one reason why I should do more content on my own, because I just don't trust hardly anybody out there. And my opinions are so much different than others. But try to eliminate that noise out there. Of course, noise is anything mainstream. It's anything entertainment. Entertainment to me is just, if it's prepping content for entertainment, that's just noise to me. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Anything AI, it's just distractions. And my time is incredibly valuable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe other people's don't value my time as much as I do, but who cares, right? So I'm trying to eliminate the noise and use my time as wisely as possible, because we don't really have enough time. But slowing down makes all the difference. I'm in a hurry, but I've realized that slowing down and being very I always lose track of the right word. Right? Just what's that?
Conscientious would be
just
a good word.
Being very conscientious. I was thinking of a shorter word, but about everything I do. I always regret wasting time.
Intentional.
If it's something I've learned, if it's been a learning process and it cost me some money, cost me some time, I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's definitely value in what we've talked about tonight. The value in slowing down, being methodical, right? Being intentional about what you're doing, what things you need to prep right now, right? And I honestly, I got to go back to what I said earlier. Look at where your holes are in your prep plan. Plug the holes first, right? You want to fix the boat before you take it on the water. Plug the holes first, because we've shared this story too. So the farmer hires a farmhand, and he's like, the main qualification the guy gave me, he's like, I can sleep when there's a storm, when it's storming. And he's like, what does that mean? Well, he took care of everything during the day so that when it's time to sleep, he can go to sleep and actually relax. The roof's not going to have a hole in it. There's not going to be a problem with the tool. The animals are going to be put where they need to be, right? That's the key. Get your house in order now. If it's not in order now, you're going to be in bigger problems, bigger trouble, because you don't know exactly when things are going to go sideways.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get in order now so that you're prepared. That's why we are preparers, right? Preparers. We get things done. Oh, I've got extra time. Let me go knock something off the list. Get something out of the way. Create peace in my life by having this stuff taken care of now. Any final thoughts from you guys before we close it out for the night?
I would just say there can be peace in the storm,
mm-hmm.
and there can be calm when you can be calm when the storm rages around you. And I love the scripture, and there's a lot more to it, but there's the specific words in the scripture are peace, be still. And stillness to me is just something that I'm seeking after and wanting in my life so bad, just to be still and still have stillness and all the things that go along with that, serenity, temperance, peace. Just those things are the things that I'm seeking after. And, the better prepared you are, the more you're thoughtful and intentional with your life. I feel like the more that you're going to find that, and the more often you'll find it in your journey in this world we're in. So that's my final thought.
Yeah. Like two thoughts that came up is, first of all, I think maybe not our listeners, but I know for a fact in other arenas, there are people who listen and do nothing at all, right? And maybe that's why we don't have a huge audience. The people who listen to us, I believe and I feel are actually doing things. And I get that through our Facebook group, right? And people, they say they feel like they're prepared but want to do more. And so doing something is better than doing nothing at all. And then, it's along the same lines as Paris mentioned is, the reason I threw out the word slow down, that as part of our topic is there's a fantastic song. It's slow down, be still, and wait on the Spirit of the Lord. And if you ever find yourself not knowing where to go next and stumbling and troubled about where you are, slow down, be intentional, be still, and wait on the Spirit of the Lord, and it will direct you in the right way.
Yep. Amen to that. Wise words from both of you. Thank you very much, guys. Guys, don't forget, we are sticking with Thursdays for the next little while. I got baby boy due next week, so we'll have our regular Thursday show. And then by the time we come back after that, we'll all have another mouth to feed. So thanks for tuning in and not tuning out. Keep the head on a swivel. And as we close out tonight, remember, don't be a cow, be a bison. Cows run from the storm. They wear themselves out and die. Bison run into the storm because they understand the storm will pass, and it'll be shorter if they just take care of it now. So take care of the things you got to take care of. Get it done, then go have some fun. Be blessed. We'll catch you on the next episode, guys.
See you next week.
Awesome. Take care.